Spinoffs. As one story comes to a close, an opportunity to make fat-ass stacks of cash opens. I think it's fair to say that most spin-offs are cash grabs, only made for financial gain, and that's why most spin-offs fail. This obviously doesn't apply to all of them. Better Call Saul, I heard that show's pretty good, and there are other ones that just aren't coming to my mind right now, but they exist. But I'd also say that regardless of the intent behind the creation of a spin-off, I say that most spin-offs have a purpose. They bring something new to the table, something that maybe someone out there actually, wanted to see, in concept, but not necessarily in execution. However, today we're going to be talking about a show that's so pointless, it makes me want to cry. The Really Loud House. This show is based on The Loud House, a show about a young man and his 10 sisters, all with very distinct personalities and gimmicks. Now, I used to be obsessed with the show when I was younger, and over the years, I've definitely fallen out of it. I've been busy watching shows that are more manly, more adult, like Family Guy. I love them Family Guy funny moments. But I still remember it as a pretty alright show. Definitely worse things for your kids to be watching, like porn. Now, the question is, what does The Really Loud House manage to do differently than The Loud House? Does it take place from the perspective of a different character? Nope. Does it take place in, a further timeline than The Loud House? Nah. Does it? You get the point. The only thing different from The Loud House is that it's in live action. And it's such a meaningful and smart change that, this episode is meaningless. I was wrong. The end. Just kidding. This is both a very pointless and very stupid decision. Personally, I think we just need to realize as a society that live-action adaptations of cartoons generally are just a very bad idea. Case in point, Fairly Odd Parents made a crappy movie, even though it's a good show. Of course, probably the most famous example of all, the Last Airbender movie. I know that movie is just hated by almost everyone on the planet, and also almost every single Disney live-action adaptation. It's just most times, just making a live-action movie out of a cartoon just does not work. It's just a terrible idea because you can't make the wackier antics and themes of cartoons work well in live action unless you really know what you're doing. And most of these companies just don't know what they're doing. For example, let's for a second, let's just put aside the fact that this show has next to no reason to exist other than financial gain, and that absolutely no one was asking for a live-action Loud House. The character designs that look just fine in the Loud House just look flat out stupid in live action. They don't translate well at all. See, with cartoons you get away with more out there designs, more colorful outfits. And when you put actual people in these outfits, they just look ridiculous. I can't help but feel bad for the actors. I really do. For example, one of the sisters, Lucy, has really long bangs that cover her eyes, and in the cartoon it looks just fine, and I don't have a problem with it. But in the show, she looks like one of those sheepdogs, with really thick fur that covers their eyes. And it looks cute on a dog, just looks stupid on a person. And for another example, the main character Lincoln, he has white hair, and in the show, it looks kind of weird, but it's not a major problem. It looks fine. I'm not saying it's a major problem here, but actual just human boy, a little boy with white hair. He looks like he has Benjamin Button's disease, where he's aging backwards. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the character designs. I don't think they translate well to live action at all. And you could argue it's just the way that Nickelodeon did the designs, and you could do them better in live action. But honestly, personally, I just can't see them translating well to live action in any way you do them. But honestly, when it comes to these characters, their designs are really the least of their problems. My main problem with these characters is that the actors just aren't convincing at all. It's like the problem people had with the Diver Wimpy Kid: The Long Haul. In the first 3 movies, the actors felt very fitting for the roles, but in the 4th movie, when they did a complete recast of all the characters, the movie just ended up feeling really soulless, and none of the actors felt convincing at all. It wasn't necessarily that the characters themselves changed that much. It's just that the portrayal was just so bad and just so unconvincing that the characters themselves just end up crumpling. And unfortunately, the same issue is present here. I think, and I have a theory. This is a weird theory for sure. It's out there, but just stick with me. I have a theory that this is because that most children are bad at acting. Now, I'm sure you've never heard this before, and like I said, it's a wacky one. And there are definitely instances in history that like counteract my theory. Like, the kid's The Sixth Sense, he was pretty good. And the aforementioned Diver Wimpy Kid movies, in the first three movies, the child acting was pretty good. But overall, I think just kids just don't know how to act. And that's fine, When you're a kid, you just don't know how to do anything because you're stupid. But then you grow up and you learn how to act. Or maybe you're just born to fail at acting. Sometimes life is just like that. I'm sorry, what were we talking about again? But seriously, in my experience, most child acting is bad acting. And while the acting present in this show, it still manages to be better than most Disney sitcom acting. It still just feels very soulless. Now, to be fair, not all the acting is bad. The actor for Lincoln's dad isn't bad. I'm guessing this is mainly because he's actually returning from the original show. He's like the only person that's returning, but still something, And also Lincoln's Fred Clyde, he's not bad either. Not great, but not bad. But overall, the acting of the show just, like I said, just feels very soulless, and as a result, the show itself just feels very soulless. And it being a clear cash grab on the part of Nickelodeon just doesn't help. And this is a clear issue, especially considering how clearly energetic this show wants to be. I mean, if I can remember right, though, the original Loud House has a kind of like fast-paced humor to it. Then again, I haven't watched the Loud House in a few years, but that's how I remember it, being like very like fast-paced, just very energetic show. And obviously this show wants to be like that because it's not very original at all. But just the very just awkward and off delivery of almost all the characters just does not allow for that energy that it strives for. It doesn't help that each episode is 22 minutes as opposed to Loud House's 11-minute episodes. Because this is definitely what the people wanted. Not only did they want a live-action Loud House, they wanted one with episodes twice as long. You get what I'm saying. I've been saying this throughout the entire episode. Everything about this show is just so pointless. It physically hurts me. I am hurt by this show. And they don't even take advantage of like the longer run time by making more happen with the plots. Each episode really just feels like an 11-minute episode stretched out with like lots of filler and like dragged out dialogue so they can fit the 22-minute time slot. To be fair, maybe it just feels stretched out and boring just because like almost every single joke just completely flops because like I mentioned earlier, just almost all the delivery is just completely soulless and just ruins every joke. It's not like any of the characters themselves are interesting because once again the delivery just makes what could be very vibrant characters, what is supposed to be very vibrant characters, just feel very flat. Honestly, the only times that this show made me feel anything at all was when it just got really stupid. Because like I mentioned earlier, cartoon antics that are really wacky don't really translate well to live action. That didn't stop the Really Loud House from trying. For example, in the first episode, Lincoln wants to trick his parents into thinking that he's with them, but in reality, he's at home doing some other crap now, remember? So he gets his super smart sister, Lisa, to to take the robot she was working on, and she just puts like a JPEG image of Lincoln's face on the robot. She also gets the robot to sound like him, but come on. The parents should have known instantly that it wasn't Lincoln. Instead, the gag being funny, it just makes me wonder if his parents are like mentally challenged. In another episode, Lincoln ends up in a diaper. I don't know, I haven't seen the episode, so I don't really know what leads up to that. I just heard about it and it sounds terrible. But he ends up in a diaper for some reason. Instead of finding it funny, I just feel really bad for the actor. Honestly, whatever he got paid wasn't enough. His parents are probably gotta spend it on like alcohol and I don't know, edible lube. And on top of that, you just know some perv was getting his rocks off to it, or her. We don't discriminate here. Everyone can be a pervert. But seriously, there's some really weird people out there, and I'm also a weirdo. Not gonna lie, but I mean, I'm funny weird, not looking at kids in diapers and stroking my nips to it weird. I will say, though, the props in this show look a lot better than I would have expected. Like one of Lincoln's sisters, Luann, she has a puppet, and the puppet in this show looks almost exactly like it does in the original show, which is kind of impressive. And yeah, that's pretty much the only good thing I can say about this show. And honestly, I don't think I could say anything else about the show, because there's almost nothing to this show. It's really just a nothing show that has absolutely no reason to exist. So yeah, that's The Really Loud House. Just an utter waste of airtime. They could be using that time that this show is taking up in the schedule to air something good, like okay, wait, something that's still airing on Nickelodeon that's actually good. Okay. Oh, there's... Okay, wait, no, that's canceled. Okay, well, we'll get back to that, but you get the point. It's taken up a valuable schedule time. And like I said at the beginning of the episode, I really don't see this show going past one season. And if I'm wrong, I'll buy all of your mother's Dr. Pepper. So if the show gets announced for a second season, please email me at bigpapa@gmail.com, and I will hold up my end of the bargain. But for now, thank you for watching, or listening, depending on what website you're using. Next episode, I revealed the terrible crimes of the Disney Channel.